Asian American drama that is directed by Lee Isaac Chung, and it's kind of a semi-autobiographical take on some of his upbringing. Made sure that I got the names right because I didn't want to fuck that up for this video. Video and the movie is too important for that. So Stephen Young, who you might remember from The Walking Dead, Han Ye-ri, Yun Ya Zhang, I think is what that is. Wait, did I write a T or a J? Alan S. Kim, Will Patton, you might remember him from movies like, I don't know, Remember the Titans? He was in that movie. Noel Cho also stars in this film, and I did want to make sure that I got the names right for this video, showing a little bit more effort to fix a weakness of mine. So like I said, this is kind of a semi-autobiographical take from the director's perspective. It's about this family, South Korean immigrants who come to America in the 80s, and they're kind of trying to figure out how to live the American dream. They get their own land and they're trying to make ends meet. And along the way, the grandmother comes to stay with this family in their new house, their new home, their farm or whatever. And so it's kind of an experience for everybody. And there's a lot of life lessons and, you know, that kind of thing. It's that kind of movie. So this movie was released last year at Sundance, and then it got like a virtual 1-week screening for people if they wanted to see it in December. And then it just got released a few weeks ago in February. So it took me a while to get around to Minari. If I were to describe this movie, I would call it wholesome, or I would call it beautiful. It would be one of those two things. Not everything in the movie is wholesome, but the movie just left me feeling wholesome, and not everything in the movie is beautiful, although it damn near tries its best. And there's just a lot to unpack with this movie, even though the premise and the story itself is very simple. Because at the end of the day, this movie is really just about a family going through everyday, ordinary shit that certainly almost anybody can relate to. There's a lot of shots in this film as it relates to the cinematography that are atmospheric and the way that they depict nature. There's a lot about this movie and the greens in the foreground and the background, lighting, the environment, nature, trees, mud, all of that is all about the details, and it's all about how the filmmakers shine a light on this, because a lot of this movie is supposed to be down to earth. It makes sense that the cinematography is lending a hand to that feel and to that vibe. So I do want to shout out the movie for looking absolutely gorgeous. Eggs on its head. It's a beautiful looking movie. It also has a great score, a lot of great piano work in this movie. And I'd just be sitting there vibing, just watching the movie. I'd just be like, oh yeah, Stevie, get it, Stevie. And obviously Stevie Wonder did not have anything to do with the score for this. It's got me really excited listening to the score of this movie, and I can't wait to hear it again. The biggest way that authenticity lends itself to this movie is not really in the cinematography or the music or the environment, the setting or whatever. It's about these performances. Everyone in this movie is incredible. All the actors, all the actresses, everybody is giving an A+++++ performance. Great acting makes you feel like they're not even performing at all. Like this is just real life, real people. Like somebody just grabbed a camera and started filming an ordinary family. Family dynamics in place between the husband and wife, between husband and wife and their kids, between the brother and the sister, and then eventually between the grandmother, who kind of is the monkey wrench that gets thrown into the story and benefits everybody for it, because there are some genuinely heartfelt but also really funny moments with the grandmother and her interactions with the rest of this family. Ultimately, this is also on a smaller scale a movie about immigration, the way that they come to this country and some of the experiences that they go through. This is a true love letter to the story of an immigrant, to the story of people from other countries that are just trying to make it in a new one, trying to create a better life for themselves or their families. Intimate and personal is definitely the whole vibe of the movie. Even when you're watching this family just go through normal shit, you're invested because you're kind of like, I could see myself in them in a lot of ways. Obviously, I'm not Asian American, but I figure this would be a very important story because it really is an American story, but it is told from, you know, an Asian American or foreign perspective. As far as issues with the movie, I mean, it's A24, so you know that the pacing is gonna be ass. I mean, that's just usually the case for most of their movies. At this point, it's one of those things where you just kind of have to accept it for what it is. I mean, definitely there are a few scenes in this movie that drag. There are some scenes where they're depicting this family going through regular mundane shit, and maybe it's not always the most interesting, it's not always the most affecting, it's not gonna grab your attention the right way all the time. You might be turned off by some of this movie. I'm not gonna lie to you, there are a few moments in the movie where it does feel like not a lot is happening. I would say for me, another issue that I have is that there are just some things that were set up in the movie, some conflicts, some interactions, some dynamics that I feel like could have been touched on a little bit more, fleshed out a little bit more, given a little bit more time and attention. They sometimes introduced things and then they just kind of kicked it down the road so that they could deal with other things. Minari is an emotional knockout. It definitely doesn't always go in the directions that you're expecting it to. This movie definitely should win multiple awards. I think it's already won a Golden Globe or whatever, but I really had a blast watching this movie. Minari was a dope ass movie with a lot of heart put into it. I'm gonna leave this one in the Silver Age for Man of Steel. If you haven't seen this movie, I highly recommend it. Check it out. Stay tuned, got a lot of other videos working on for the next few days. Please like and subscribe to the Superfan Show. And if you like what you see, tell me how you feel and stay tuned to hear more from the Man of Steel. Peace.